students, I'm Aanchal Sharma, your educator. In this video, we are going to discuss about another novelist, and today we're going to discuss about Anita Nair. So, Anita Nair was born on 26th January 1966. She is an Indian novelist who writes her books in English language. Anita Nair is one of the most prominent writers, and she refuses herself to be called as a feminist writer. Let us see what she has to say about herself. So Anita Nair is one of the most prominent women writers in the Indian English. She has refused to be labeled as a feminist writer, far from taking a feminist concern, thereby fighting against the patriarchal society and the male domination. She has taken a balanced view of life from the woman's point of view by bringing all the feminine sensibilities into the work. So rather than just fighting and arguing for the right of the women, she is now taking a balanced life. She is here writing the novels to see that is the woman capable of leading the life on their own? Is it very important that women are always relying on men to be there in the family, to be there in the, to be someone who is taking the family forward? Is the patriarchal structure the only correct structure? Can a woman lead a life on her own? So these are the few things that she will focus on her novels. Nair herself says, I'm not a feminist. I enjoy being in the house. I like to be treated nicely. I like to be pampered. I don't think this book, whichever she's talking about, is about feminism. So she says that this book about which these lines were said by her, she just wanted to say that this book is nothing about, and of course these lines are related to the Lady's Coupe. This is the novel that is written by Anita Nair only. So during that, the interview was taken, and she just said that she is not a feminist. She just wants that she is a woman who is treated as same as someone else. She is someone who is not fighting against it with the patriarchal structure. She wants a normal life. She just wants to be treated nicely and pampered. She wants to be adored, and she's not a feminist. She tries to be happy. She is best known for her works like A Better Man, Mistress, The Lessons in Forgetting. She has also written some poetry, essays, short story, crime fiction, historical fiction, romance, child's literature, and other stories like The Moza and the Baby Jan. These are the stories from the Quran. So she has also written these types of work. This picture in front of you is of Anita Nair only, right? So she has written few works that became very important. So followed by these, of course, The Better Man that came out in 2000 is a very important work. It was published in Europe and in United States as well. But the work of 2002, this 2002 work of Lady's Coupe was selected as one of the 5 best novels in India. This work became very, very important, and the novel is about the woman's condition in a male-dominated society. It is told with this great point of view of insight, solidarity, and of course there are some humor. Solidarity is there, and the elements of humor are also there. So when we will be discussing the summary of Lady's Coupe, then you will understand that with the metaphor of the train, Anita Nair is trying to say that can the women come forward? Can they live their own life according to themselves or not? Or do we always need someone in our life? This Lady's Coupe is nothing but a novel when there are about 5 to 6 women going together, and in fact 6 women going together on a train journey. So just a train compartment is a world of a female, such a small world. They need a small space only to feel happy. This is also one side. But look at the flip side. The world of a woman is so small. They find solace among one another. They just sit together and talk about their problematic conditions. Akhila, the protagonist, would learn so much by talking to the other 5 women that are there, each suffering according to, each suffering with their own circumstances. Whether it's a 14-year-old girl, whether it's a unmarried woman, whether it's a divorced mother. So all of them have problems, and they will all come up together and will talk about themselves. So this is the novel published in 2002, Lady's Coupe, that is very important. Nair's novel, The Better Man, Lady's Coupe, has been translated into 21 languages, and these two novels became very important. Her 2018 novel Eating Wasp is also important, and it is an update to the ladies Coupe also. So in 2002, her debut collection of poems, that is the Malabar Mind, was also published. And in 2003, Where the Rain is Born is also a writing about Kerala that she has edited. So these two are also her work. Nair has also written the Muffin Book of Myths and Legends that came out in 2004. And this is a children's book on myth and legends. So she has also written some poems, she has also written story collections, she has also edited few works, and a child's book called as the Muffin Book of Myths and Legends came out in 2004 as well. So Nair's writing about Kerala and her poetry has been included in the Poetry Indian Collection and the British Council Poetry Workshop Anthology also. So she became very famous about whenever she was writing about the different poems related to Kerala. Her poems appeared in the Dance of the Peacock, the anthology of English poetry from India, featured in 151 Indian English poets, edited by Vivekanand Jha and published by the Hidden Book Press in Canada. Right. So this was also information that you should know, that she has written some poetry collections, some anthologies that have also been published. Not only this, she has also tried her hands writing the children's book of myth and legends, the Muffin Book of Myths and Legends that came out in 2004. The Malabar Mind is a collection of poems that she has written, and Where the Rain is Born is also a writing that she has edited about Kerala. Then Nair has also written other books like Mistress, as I told you, that came out in 2003, Adventures of Nonu, The Staking Squirrel 2006, Living Next Door to Alice 2007, and The Magical Indian Myths in 2008. Nair's work also include many travelogues. She has also written travelogues, right, with the play of 9 Faces of Being. She became a playwright as well, and there is a manuscript also in which she was working, adapting a script from her book Mistress. Her book Cut Like Wounds 2012 introduced the fictional character of Inspector Goda. That is also very important. The second book in the series is The Chain of Custody, was also published in 2015. So this is also important. Nair's work also include many travelogues. She has written few travelogues. With the play The 9 Faces of Being, she became a playwright. Hence, she has also written a play. Just you can make your own notes. This will be very helpful for you. The 9 Faces of Being, it's a play. Then adapting a script from her own book Mistress, her book Cut Like Wound, that came out in 2012, also introduced a fictional character of Inspector Goda. That is also important, right? So these are few things that you should know. The second book in these series only, that was a script, was The Chain of Custody, that was published in 2015. Other works of Nair include The Lilac House 2012, The Alphabet Soup for the Lovers that came out in 2016. Now let us discuss about few novels that made her very famous. So the first that we are discussing is The Better Man that came out in 2000. So we have the Mukundan. Mukundan is a retired government service class man who lives in a village. So he returns to the village of the Kekursuri where he was born, and he is very upset and he is viewing the life as it was a complete failure. He meets one screw loose Bhasi. So there is this person Bhasi who is going to help him. So this whole novel is going to be centered around how he, the Mukundan, who's the person here, will also help Bhasi. So a local eccentric house painter and an inventor of this odd system of alternative medicine. He helps Mukundan transform himself. So Bhasi was someone who helped Mukundan, and then later we'll see it will be Mukundan who will help Bhasi. The powerhouse Ramakrishnan, a locally important man, decides to build a community hall and selects Bhasi's land for that work. So Bhasi would be replaced now. So he threatens and destroys Bhasi's business if he refuses to sell the land. So it would be Mukundan who intends to save Bhasi's land, but of course, what he can do, because he's not transformed as they thought he would be, so he gives his ownership, of course, and he takes part in the project. So he was someone who was transformed and helped by Bhasi, though instead of helping Bhasi at the end, he would be someone who, with the businessman Ramakrishnan, will accept the membership on the project committee. And later we see that it is Bhasi who loses his land. So Mukundan's father dies and he later undergoes a deep transformation. So this is how a deep transformation is done. So this novel, though not centered around women, also sees some detailed themes are what? Some detailed themes are like how man can never transform if he is not intending to transform himself. So there are also themes related to the rural life. She's talking about how the village life is seen, how there is co-independence between the people, and how the whole corruption of a man can be seen, and how you can become a better person if you're inside from, if you have this voice coming from your inside core. So these are few things that are important. Then Ladies Coupe, a very important work. So Ladies Coupe is divided into a total of 11 chapters. The chapters, and among them there is an alternative chapters that are unnamed, right? So Akhila's chapter, or her point of view, or her thoughts, and alternative chapters are the chapters by the other 5 women. So as I was telling you, there are 11 chapters, and each subsequent chapter is given a name, while the perspective of Akhila is not given a particular name. So each chapter is dealing with these 5 women that Akhila is going to meet. So this helps the character of Akhila to think and to reflect about the different life incidents. She heard from her co-passengers different stories, and gradually she will understand her own story. The last chapter is entitled as Akhila Speaks. So Akhila now speaks. Akhila now understands how to lead her life on her own. This deals with Akhila's decision that she has made in her life after hearing and analyzing the life stories of the other 5 women that she is talking to. The titles are given to the title names that are given to the other alternative chapters are what? So chapter number 2 is called as A Certain Age. Chapter number 4 is called as The Go Grandmother Go. Then chapter 6 is The Oil of Vitriol. Then we have chapter 8, Afloat. Chapter 10 is called as Sister to Real Thing. Chapter number 11 is Akhila Speaks. So when this 15-year-old girl was traveling, she heard different women talk about themselves. And this is how this novel was shaped. So let us read these lines. When 15-year-old I was traveling in Ladies Coupe, the women around me began talking. People talk more openly to the strangers. This incident, this real life incident led Anita Nair to talk about the women's life and to title the novel as Ladies Coupe. She realized that ladies are given really less space to talk about themselves. In just a train journey, they are given time and space to talk. So a woman needs a space to talk. A woman needs a pen to write her story on her own. These are few themes that are also seen in the novel. The women, between the women, when there is solidarity between the women, they talk and discuss about their own problems. So each 5 women, they are all important. We will be looking at the stories of these women, and you will realize how different these 5 women are, and each woman has to say something about themselves, and this will shape the main character at the end. So Akhila would be shaped. Hence, the last chapter is called as Akhila Speaks. Akhila, who is in love with the man who is much younger to her age. His name is Hari. She will just call Hari, and later the novel ends here. And we all know what will she say. She will definitely go back to Hari because she has realized that yes, she is in love with him, and there is nothing, or maybe she is going to say no to Hari because she does not want Hari to be in her life. So we don't know what will be the ending, but we know that at the end, Akhila has achieved her own identity. Akhila has achieved that she is someone who is fully capable of living her life on her own. Right? So the Ladies' Coupe is a story of the 6 women who are traveling. It is a story about 6 women. The heroine of this novel, Akhila, is listening to the stories of other 5 women and seeks a solution to the problems around them, by talking to them. In her mind, there are few questions like, can a woman stay single, be happy, or does a woman need a man to feel complete? All women are married except Akhila. She is not married, but she has her own story about the family and her lover Hari. It has the story of Akhila, Janki, Margaret, Sheila, we have Prabha Devi, and we have Marikolanthu. So there are these 5 women who will talk to Akhila, and they will understand a lot about one another. So we will understand the story. I will tell you the story, we'll discuss, and then you will understand the complete summary fully. So we have Akhila. So you can write few things that are important related to Akhila. Akhila is a very simple woman, and you can see her simplicity because she is someone who wears cotton saris. Cotton saris that are all very plain. She knows that she is someone who comes from a very struggling family. After her father's death, she is someone who has to take care of the family. So she has a mother, she has 2 siblings, and she is the one who has to do a lot of efforts to take the family forward. She has a problem by addressing herself with her own name as Akhila. Why? Because everyone has some identity associated with her. For her mother, she is a daughter. For the siblings, she is a sister. So she has lost her own identity because of the family hardships and problems through which she has to repeatedly go through. She is losing her own solidarity and her own identity. She comes from a family which is not that rich, and she of course suffers a lot. She is going to Kanyakumari. She has taken a journey. She is in love with Hari, a person who is much younger to her. And now she is traveling because she has few questions to, she needs answers to these questions. And in this train journey, she meets these 5 women that we'll be discussing, and she decides to talk to them. After each chapter, she will ponder upon these stories, and then at the end, Akhila will speak in this telephonic conversation to Hari that what she really wants in her life. She completely associates herself with one character, and her name is the Sarsa Mami. So there is this person, Sarsa Mami, and she completely resonates herself to Sarsa Mami because Sarsa Mami also led a life that was as difficult as Akhila, because Sarsa Mami's husband died and she had to sell her daughter to become a prostitute because she had no money. But Akhila thinks that she has managed the life so well that at least she was able to make sufficient money so that the family could live. Her mother is happy and her 2 siblings are also happy. So you will again and again find the reference to Sarsa Mami, who led a very horrible life, but she tries to compare herself with Sarsa Mami and her daughter, right? So this is how there is lack of identity, and the name of the daughter is Jaya, right? So she became a prostitute and led a very difficult life. So at least Akhila was not that bad not in such a bad condition. She was living a life that made her capable of coming in this journey at least. Yes, she needs to find some answers, but still a respectable life was led by her. Right. So this was the first novel. When it starts, we will discuss, we have this discussion about Akhila. Then comes Janki. So Janki tells a story, and the story that she is telling is titled as A Certain Age. So who is Janki? Janki is someone who is married to a man, and she thinks that this marriage is what she is made for. So it is, we all know that at the end, it is what? It is the father, at the first time when the woman just comes into this life, it is of course the father. Then it is she becomes the responsibility of a brother, and then there will be the husband who will take care of a woman, and then comes the son. So this is a story. Janki's story is a story about how she lives with a husband. She has been dominated by the husband, and now she is living with this son Siddhartha, whom she dearly loves. But of course, now she is fully dependent on Siddhartha. So a woman is always dependent on someone else. So, and it is very important to know that this is a novel, why, and this is a story, why, of a certain age, because here she realizes that whatever may be the age of a woman, we are always dependent on someone else, and that someone else is from the patriarchal society. So Betty Friedan, in her book The Feminine Mystique, called this problem the problem that has no name. The problem that has no name means the problem of coming in a patriarchal society and getting married. So it's just a simple problem. It's just a problem that has no name. We are all trapped into it. It's a problem of the housewife syndrome. You are always meant to be a housewife, and whatever may be your age, you are always going to live a life so that the other man in your family is happy. So this is a story of Janki and her son Siddhartha, right? Then comes another novel, and next comes another part. This story, this section is of Sheila. So Sheila is someone who is much younger than the other women there. So she is about 14 years of age. She is a student. She is trying to study. And this is a story about a grandmother. How much she loves her own grandmother, and how it is only Sheila's grandmother who can make her happy. So here Sheila is very dejected because her grandmother has died, and she was the only one who could understand Sheila. And she was the one who told Sheila that whatever may be, it is only you who knows what you want in your life. These are few things that her grandmother has inculcated in her. Her grandmother has told that the only person who you want to please is no one but yourself. This story also talks about child abuse, right? So we find that there is a story about child abuse also. Here we find that Sheila has undergone a child abuse case. Here her friend's father was someone who tried to rape her, tried to touch her inappropriately, and she went through a very traumatic condition, and it was only the grandmother. It was no one but the grandmother who gave her solace. But now the grandmother has died. So Sheila is very unhappy. She is a 14-year-old child who is still studying, and she has no one to love. That is why the title of the story is Go Grandmother Go. Here she is letting the grandmother go, but she knows that all the qualities that the grandmother wants that she should inculcate, she has already inculcated that. She can lead a life, she can protect herself, right? Then we have the story of Margaret, and this is a very interesting story, and I think she is the most creative woman that is present in this lady's coupe. Why? I will tell you. So Margaret is a chemistry teacher, and she is working in a school, and of course the name of the story is The Oil of Vitriol. Why is it that? I will tell you that as well. So as I told you, this is a story of Margaret. Margaret is a teacher, and Ebenezer is the principal who used to work there, and she got married to this person, Ebenezer. But initially she was very happy with the decision she has taken, but gradually she realized that how stupid she was, that she came in a relationship with someone who is like Ebenezer. So she associates all the people who are there in the school with the name of different compound names and different chemical names, and the name of the story is also something related to that. She has seen that it was Ebenezer who forced her to have her first abortion. It was Ebenezer who never let her go outside. It was Ebenezer who just wanted to rule over her. And he was sucking all the goodness that were there in your character, Margaret. So Margaret realized that she is living a life that is very flat, that is of no color, and her own charm is getting sucked out. So the oil of better oil is nothing but a sulfuric acid. So Ebenezer here stands for this better oil, sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid. So this person, this husband of Margaret, Ebenezer, is nothing but a sulfuric acid. He is sucking out the goodness, and gradually what Margaret has realized to become an acidic reactor herself. She has realized not to give up on her life like this. So she decided to take revenge from Ebenezer. Ebenezer is too proud. Let me make him repent what he has done to me. So she tried to feed Ebenezer more and more food and wanted to make him fat so that his own self-confidence is deteriorated. So we see that there is what? She becomes the aqua regia. She becomes aqua regia herself. She becomes aqua regia, someone who is too acidic, someone who can even melt the gold. She is becoming more acidic herself. Let Ebenezer be sulfuric acid. I will be what? I will be the aqua regia. I will someone who will melt the gold as well. I will not let Ebenezer take the goodness out of me. This is the story of Margaret, who was married to the principal of that school where she used to work, Ebenezer. Right. Then is another story, and this story is of Prabha Devi. Now this story is titled as Afloat. Right. Why is it called as Afloat? Because here the character Prabha Devi will learn to swim. Now why is she, and this story, I like this story. Why do I even like it? Because she is very different than the other characters, right? So all the other characters are somewhat from a middle class family, but our Prabha Devi is from this upper class family. She comes from a very rich family. Her father was very rich. She was married to a rich merchant, and her life was extremely beautiful, a life that every woman wants to live. And she was deeply in love with the husband as well. But what happened? She took a trip to New York, and that trip changed everything about her. That trip changed everything about Prabha Devi and how she wanted to lead her life. So initially, when she was small, she was accustomed to the patriarchal society. She was drilled in that way only. But when she went to New York, she realized that she wants freedom. And in New York, she said that I wanted to live a life as I wanted to live. Hence, she meet this person, Pramod, who tried to take advantage of Prabha Devi because she was not behaving as a conventional woman, but someone who is very outgoing. Later, because he tried to take advantage of her, Prabha Devi realized that I don't want to become someone else. I don't want to just change my personality altogether. And she tries to go back to her old self. Later, she tries to swim as well. So here, Afloat is directly related to the swimming classes she will be taking. Here, she will learn how to have balance. Afloat here means balance. She will learn to balance herself not only in the water, but in the life as well. So too much expectations is causing only pain to her. So Prabha Devi will realize that I need to be in full control. I need to take the charge of my own life. I need to be in balance, and I need to live the life as I want. So she will learn to float in life and in water. This is a story of Prabha Devi who fell in love with Prabodh. There is also a quick reference to Alice in Wonderland. So there is a quick reference to Alice. When she went to New York, she realized that she resonates and connects herself to Alice. And she realized how beautiful the world is. Why am I confined to this world? I can roam around. This must be the feeling of Alice when she entered the Wonderland. This was the feeling when she went to New York. But later she realized how important it is to have a complete balance of your own life. the last but not the least is a story of the Marikolanthu. This is a story which is titled as The Sister of Real Things. This is a story where you will find a lot of other themes also coming into play, like the sisterhood, how it is important that you find solace in with the other woman. So here you will find that the main character, Marikolanthu, is in somewhat not a relationship, but a helping relationship with the woman Sujata. So she comes from a very poor family. She goes to work with another family who is living far from her home. There, she is raped by a son living in that family. But a wife who is also living there, there are 3 sons, and one of the wife there, whose name is Sujata, finds solace in Marikolanthu, and later they realize that Marikolanthu is also pregnant because she was raped, and she avoids and she tries to just shove off all the responsibility she has for that son that she that of course is her son only, but she never loved him. Gradually she will start to love the son. Gradually she will accept the son as well. Gradually she will understand that how important Sujata is in her life. So we must have read, you must have read Color Purple. And what is the purple here? Purple here stands for womanism. How important it is that we all come together and love one another. So a woman can find solace in a woman friendship. So this is a story of Sujata and Marikolanthu, who will somewhat find solace in one another. Here, this is a story of how you can find love in someone, and later we will realize that yes, bearing a child, though out of rape, can be a taboo and can be wrong for someone else, but it is her own child, so she will gradually accept the son also. So this is a story of what? This is a story of Marikolanthu, right? So later on, at the end, after all the women have told their own stories, we'll see that it is Akhila who will then talk. So the later part, the 11th chapter, is Akhila speaks, and she will talk about herself. So this was the complete story, a complete summary of the Ladies Coupe. Then we have another novel. This novel is called as Mistress, and Mistress deals with human relationships, man-woman relationship, analysis of premarital, marital and extramarital relationships. There are other themes like different saga of relationships that go through, and there are themes like art, adultery, excitement, the newfound love, the unconventional relationships, the ugliness of love, abuse, and the dark family secrets. So this novel Mistress will deal with these few themes. Also, why is the novel very different? Because this novel is based on human emotions, and it talks about the 9 phases of human emotions. So it is, the principal protagonist is a Kathakali artist at an international level. So she is an artist at an international level, and the different cases of interplay between the characters are all expressed in the 9 emotions that we have in the Kathakali dance. So she resonates the 9 emotions, the 9 phases of human emotions with the Kathakali dance in the novel Mistress. Then we have the Lesson in Forgetting. The Lesson in Forgetting is a social document about the 21st century. The question she raises in this novel is that the lesson in forgetting makes us rethink about the ideological grounds of man's patriarchal role. Again, she will make you focus on the man's role in the family. The novel describes how the woman has to make the painful choices in order to assert her own sense of self. It is important to assert her own sense of self. In spite of their oppression, domination, the women resolve to redefine their own identity in the social structure. So there are few women who will come forward and find their own identity. So this novel, The Lesson in Forgetting, is about different women coming together and talking about themselves and finding their own identity. Few of them are what? The Lessons in Forgetting is a story about women's quest to move in forward and to design their own future themselves. Like Meera. Meera becomes an Mira, who is becoming an assistant professor, will become independent and will make the adjustments of her own expenditure on her own. She decides to start her new life with Professor Jha. Then we have Sharda. Sharda becomes a teacher and she marries her own colleague and starts her own life. Then we have Kala Chithi. Kala Chithi leaves her husband. Then she leaves the name she is given by her husband. She starts her own life. She cuts her hair. This causes her, and of course, this causes her, immense pain. But she comes out of a poor marriage and then she leads her life. She shows resistance against the suffering and she leads her life according to herself. There is Mira's grandmother, who remains in the family and who later finds her own identity. There is Smriti's life, that is also a life of misery, and she also comes out of it. Right. Then the novel ends with a new beginning and the learning and the lesson that is not to be forgotten. Every woman in the family will understand that they can move forward in their life and can live a life according to themselves. Anita Nair writes about the search of self of her own women characters and their assertion as their individual selves. They can find their own identity on their own. This is the novel, The Lessons in Forgetting. Then we have the last, The Eating Wasp, that came out in 2018. Eating Wasp tells the story of 10 women. The narrator of the book is a dead woman. So it's a very mystical novel. And when I'll tell you the story, you will also be amazed and you'll just go and read this novel, I'm pretty sure. So Eating Wasp tells the story of 10 women. The narrator of the novel is a dead woman whose finger is picked up from the funeral pyre by an ex-lover who keeps that finger in a cupboard. The story starts with her own suicide. The story starts with this line: on the day I killed myself, it was bright and clear. It was a Monday, a working day. Right. So we have Shri Lakshmi. When she was still alive, we will meet Shri Lakshmi. She is an unmarried woman in her 30s who taught zoology and wrote Sahitya Academy Award winning fiction. Nair describes her mysterious suicide in a way caused by a man only. So this woman died. She committed suicide because of a man. And we find her own finger being picked from the pyre by her ex-lover. So in a way, her death was caused by a man. But this doesn't really make one groan. Instead, what makes you curious and to read this novel is to uncover a bit more about Shri Lakshmi. You will be very curious to read more about Shri Lakshmi. You make acquaintance with the flawed human beings and with the three-dimensional characters that we see. The book also elaborates the injustice she faces, and she believes she exhibited the wake of all disasters along with her own life. So these were the few works that Anita Nair has also written. There are the works like The Cut Like Wound, The Chain of Custody, there is Idris, there is Cut Like Wound, as I told you, right? So these are few novels few books that she has also written. What we have discussed are also very important from examination point of view. Ladies, Coupe is very important. I hope that you like the summary and you will remember it as well. That is why I use pictures, so that this summary will be drilled into your mind for a longer period of time. If you have any doubt, you can write it in the comment section and I'll surely reply to you. Thank you so much for just listening to me and keep studying. Thank you.